Alright, I just got off from work, so let's talk a little bit more about this entire 3.1.7 patch details, which is like, I don't know man, 10 freaking chapters or something like that. This is a literature textbook. Okay, so we're gonna start off with the new Espers, followed by the new features, so on and so forth. I'm gonna skip some of the things that don't really need to be discussed because some of those things have been discussed about previously. But let's talk a little bit about the new Esper here and whether or not I am hyped for him or not. So Chuan is a fighter Esper with access to multi-stage attacks and pursuit attacks, which is really nice. You know what, it kind of seems like most wind-type Espers have a lot of pursuit attacks for some reason, right? You have Ophelia and you have Tang Yun as well. Now, ability 1, Roaring Thrust deals damage to enemies based on Chuan's attack multiple times, and deals damage to enemies. Has a chance to inflict miss rate up. If this is an AoE attack, this can be quite interesting. But this being a multi-hit is actually very, very important because of ability 2, Wishlist Stance. Wishlist Stance inflicts Third Eye Seal upon a crit. When an enemy afflicted with Third Eye Seal is attacked by Chuan, Scream launches an assist attack. Now, Screamer's damage is a certain percentage of Chuan's attack and ignores defense and inflicts sear on the target. But on Ascension, you then steal all the buffs from the target as well, which is pretty insane. So I wonder whether do you steal the buffs first before dealing damage. That would be crazy, dude. That's a strip before an attack. This might be pretty cool. And this is what Third Eye Seal does. It applies miss rate up. Now, Guardian Lord deals damage to all enemies based on Chuan's attack multiple times as well. Inflicts speed down, gains immunity, and grants speed up to all allies. This is a very interesting supportive kit. So he gives himself immunity, he grants speed up to all allies, and then you land speed down onto the enemies at the same time. There is a lot of speed difference over here, which I feel makes him very, very powerful if he were in the current version. And as for the reason for that, I'll talk a little bit more later on. But all in all, what I feel about this character is he is insanely strong. There is no denying that I'm extremely hyped about him, even though I'm not looking very hyped right now, because I just got off work. So the thing is, these two skills, right, ability 1 and ability 3, they land multiple hits. So it's very important that it lands multiple hits because the first hit, if it lands a crit, you then apply Third Eye Seal. And then when you land more hits afterwards, you will then inflict defense ignoring damage. So the multi-hit is actually really, really crucial, I think. Now, another reason why I'm quite excited about him is that he ignores defense and he's a wind type, which means you can ignore the defense of heights. So now most heights are built with a mixture of defense and HP, but I think the best way for you to build a height is to just run him with full HP moving forward because of the defense ignoring attack over here. So I'm quite excited to pull for Chuan, and I'll definitely pull for Chuan, so yep, I think he's gonna be a meta Esper. Now next we have Calamity Island. So the way this works is it has 200 floors in total, and it only opens up depending on the day of the week, right? But here's the catch, due to the influence of Divine Waves, each pillar can only be assessed and explored by Espers within the corresponding elemental class, and you can only explore 10 floors of each pillar per day. This is quite a big deal, right? So you are limited to the amount of floors that you can ascend, and I wonder whether does this tower actually reset or not. It doesn't actually mention it anywhere, so it may not reset. But the thing is, if it does reset, then every single one of those days where the tower appears, you need to make sure that you grind out those 10 floors. If not, you're going to be like missing out a little bit. Or the worst case scenario is that you may not be able to hit 200 floor before it actually closes. But who knows, right? Who knows? And finally, due to the influence of Divine Waves, battles on Calamity Island have strict time limits. Espers are forced to leave a battle after a certain amount of turns, resulting in a loss of the battle. I'm not sure why they are introducing this system at all. So they're actually introducing this system to not just the Calamity Island, but they're also trying to introduce it to many other content as well, which I kinda hate, to be honest. Now, added Blitz. So Blitz is just basically skip tickets. Now, before the Blitz starts, the maximum number of MemoChips could be required for that level will be deducted first. So there's a kind of deposit that you pay up front. So this actually explains a little bit about my question that I asked in the previous video, which is why is it that in 10 runs, the player is actually using 55 MemoChips? So there was 5 extra MemoChips that was placed as a deposit in case some of your runs actually requires more turns and therefore be a little bit more expensive. But the thing is, after completing all the runs, if you do have excess in your deposit, they will then refund you the extra, and that's about it. And then added the power system, which basically does nothing at all. You can actually turn it off, which is like, then what's the point, right? So some of you guys actually brought out the reasoning that they included the power system so that this allows newer players to have an idea of how powerful their team is as opposed to the content that they're trying to partake in. I kinda understand, but at the same time, I don't think you really need to handhold players all that much. Honestly, Dislyte was fine at the start. I think having that uncertainty actually allows players to explore a little bit more on their own without relying too much on honestly things that don't really make too much sense, because like the power score really doesn't define whether your Esper is good or not. Alright, now moving on to the new events. So Truth Unveiled, this might be quite interesting. So I think it's something that we have never seen before. So essentially how this works is there are a large number of enemies on the map, And by defeating these enemies, you can get event EXP to upgrade your event level. Now, in the story stages, your Espers levels are the same as your event levels, so you can level up to make subsequent battles easier. I kind of like this, I guess. I think it's okay. I mean, it's an interesting concept. I'd like to see how it plays out. So essentially, the more you grind on the story, the easier it's gonna be. It's kind of similar to whatever that we have already, but I think this matters a lot more, isn't it? Because this directly affects your level. And in the boss event, which I guess is towards the end of the event, Chuan's trial to obtain a single challenge best record and claim the corresponding rating rewards. Okay, blah blah blah. Essentially, there is going to be like a worldwide competition over here where players are divided according to their division rankings and world rankings, and whoever's in the top of their division to be rewarded with legendary abilimons, shimmer records, gold records, blah blah blah. So it's kind of similar to the championship, I think, but this is obviously based on the damage dealt to the boss, which means, well, if you can run manual, I guess manual play is going to be the way. And of course, there will still be an event shop. Very nice. I kind of like this, to be honest. I like this event over here. I mean, I get it that it's going to be very pay to win, especially for this part, but it's just extra rewards for the rest of you guys who are not able to compete, I guess. I don't even feel like I'm going to be able to compete, to be honest. Alright, so limited time echo events for Chuan is kind of the same as whatever that we have seen before. Solstice City Night, this is just like a login and blah blah blah. Get some rewards, whatever. Now, echo adjustment, so we will no longer be opening up supercell matrices, which is the SSM, so there will be new rules for the gold record pool. Okay, but I think the most important one is this part over here. Wish stones can only be obtained through drawing from the gold record pool. So you can't actually obtain wish stones with like the elemental records, the shimmer records, all that kind of good stuff. And there is an added limited time echo pool, which is the echo pool opens for limited time, basically just the Chuan pool, and you can spend 100 wish stones to get the current events featured Esper, which is Chuan. And now added wish pool, so I guess this kind of clarifies whatever doubts that we had in the past, or rather it was just mainly my doubts. So players can put 5 different non-shimmer legendary Espers not acquired from the Esper fusion into the wish pool. Now spend 100 wish stones in the wish pool to acquire an Esper from the 5 designated Espers. So I'm pretty sure this is going to be randomized. Which means that on average, if you want to get the resonance of the desired Esper of your choice, it's going to cost you upwards of 500 wish stones just to hit the average, which can be quite expensive. So it's not exactly that straightforward of a way for you to fully reso your Espers. But talking about resonance, you guys are not going to be happy of what I'm going to talk about later on. So just to clarify, if you guys are holding on to some extra SSMs, what's going to happen to those would be every SSM would then be exchanged for 6 Nexus Crystals, which means one full piece of a SSM summon, which is 50 SSMs, is going to be converted into 300 Nexus Crystals, and it's going to happen automatically. So it's not going to be like an event where you exchange it, it's just going to disappear. So removal of practice stages and addition of Sonic Rift, I've talked about this before. So I think they want to streamline the process of leveling up Espers and upgrading Espers. So you do not need to just keep switching your Espers around, you know, just like chucking Espers into the practice stage and grinding a little bit and all that. People don't really like that concept. It's kind of boring. It's kind of like not that interesting. So I guess the Sonic Rift is actually not so bad because now you can just grind with one fixed team, right? Just speed run it, and you don't really need guys anymore, although guys is obviously going to be so much better for speed running these contents. But I think the process is going to be a lot better, and I think you guys are going to feel the QOL improvement over here. I mean, I can already feel it. So miracle adjustments, they added some extra stuff for us to take note of. So for example, like APEP, right? Reduce APEP's basic ability damage under all difficulties. Now, while Toxic Detonation still increases the damage when the target has debuffs, which is whatever that we have right now, and it is also our main concern, the increase is smaller. So they have actually listened to us in some sense to reduce the total damage output of APEP, and they want you to focus more on countering the poison effect rather than handling APEP's insane damage. So everything else is kind of like the same, right? So for Chronos, just reduce his damage and resist under all difficulties and delete the Dispel effect of the Blessing Tablet. And for Fafnir, Blessing Tablet will no longer grant immunity, so you can land debuffs, but I do feel like the Blessing Tablet will still be able to dispel all the debuffs that he has. And a new passive ability, Dragon's Reversal, is added to Fafnir. Fafnir will gain Anvari's Shard, but the important part is you can actually steal it, dude. You can steal the freaking Anvari's Shard, how cool is that? And that adds crit damage to your kit, which I think can be quite useful, especially for Espers like Chuan, because Chuan is a wind type that steals buffs. So I feel like Chuan has a good potential in Fafnir, especially since he defense ignores as well. Now, adjusted the relic drop probability at different difficulties. So for difficulties below 16, it is now harder to acquire relics of like higher qualities. Difficulty 16 remains unchanged. So the point of this is to, I guess, clarify that a lot of players have been farming difficulty 15. Me, I've been farming difficulty 15 like crazy, so they have actually streamline the whole process. No more confusion over here. Basically, 16 is the best right now. And I know I can hear a lot of you guys are gonna say like, dude, difficulty 13 is gonna be better, it's gonna cost you less stamina, it's gonna give you better rewards. Trust, bro, trust. I'm not gonna do the test. I'm just gonna trust that 16 is the best from now on. But of course, do take note that, okay, there's a lot of stamina changes over here. So difficulty 16 is gonna cost you more stamina, which kind of sucks because the rewards are unchanged. So it's just going to be more stamina intensive, and that's about it. And at the same time, adjusted the stamina consumed at Desolate Lands in a Sonic Miracle, so they have actually increased the stamina back. So previously, I think it was like 12 stamina per run. They reduced it to 8 stamina, and now they're actually increasing it to 15 stamina for whatever reason. And the same goes for Sonic Miracle as well. It consumes upwards of 12 stamina. Yeah, okay, so this is the part that pisses me off a lot. Like, I don't like this, okay? I truthfully do not like this, I'm sorry, Dislyte. Added a limit on the number of battle turns to avoid the extreme incidences of battles running too long and can't be concluded. Now in story stage Sonic Miracles, Ritual Miracles, Cube Miracles, and Infinite Miracles, if the limit of battle turns is reached, the exact limit is determined by the type and difficulty of stage, and players haven't won, this challenge will count as defeat. Why? There are some players who actually use slow strats in order to clear content. So why are you taking it away from them? I don't understand this. Like, there are some players who literally make use of healing comps, right? Just full support comps just to clear content, especially for the Infinite Miracle. So why is it that you're taking this away? I really do not understand. I mean, if you want to include it into PvP because of the certain incidences where, if let's say you're facing an Esper who is invincible and you just keep AP reducing that Esper, yeah, I kind of get it. But in terms of PvE content, why? I don't get this at all. Oh my god. Let me know your thoughts about this, especially for people who think that this is a good thing. Let me know why you feel like this is actually a good thing. Because I feel like in PvE content, everything is up to the player's decision, right? If the player wants to take a long time, sure, go ahead. I don't get it. Okay, so I'm going to skip this because I talked about it. If you want to know more about whatever there is over here, you can just refer to my previous videos. Alright, Esper Fusion Adjustments. Okay, so this is an important part that I also want to talk about. So they changed the system so that when you are fusing Espers, you do not actually consume material Espers. But how the hell does that even work, right? Does that mean that you can fuse unlimited Espers? The answer is actually no. So in addition to the Ascension level requirement, main Esper materials must also match the resonance requirements, and selected Esper materials won't disappear when fused. However, secondary Esper materials can't be used again, okay? So that's a better word. Secondary Esper materials can't be used again to get the same Esper's material, which means if you use Berenice as like part of a fusion for, let's say, Lucas or whatever, right? You cannot use Berenice again to fuse more copies of Lucas. So what I understand from this is, if you're a player like me who has like a whole ton of Espers already built, so just going through my Esper inbox real quickly, right? I have so many Espers that is like, you know, fully ascended, fully whatever. If that's the case, I might actually be able to fully reso Lucas the moment he drops in the fusion. I think that's how it works. Now, Bounties Adjustments, I like this a lot. So increase the chance of getting Nexus Crystals and reduce the chance of getting gold in blue bounty missions. Yes, we finally have things to be happy about. So some of you guys are also quite confused about the Cube Miracle adjustments, right? Especially this part. Current progress at the Cube Miracle will reset after the update. I think they just want to like streamline it a little bit, just everyone starts off from the start and then just see how it goes. But I think the main thing is this nerf over here. After defeating enemies, the former rewards that drop at random chances, basically are Starimon, Experimon, Nexus Crystals, and Gold Records, they are replaced by guaranteed relics instead. So there will be no more Gold Records and no more Starimon, Nexus Crystals, no more goodies basically from clearing the enemies, right? So essentially Cube Miracle just becomes another relic farming place, that's about it. I don't really see the point of the Cube Miracle now if that's the case. Okay, small QOL adjustment here for holo battles. The formation used in the most recent holo battle will be automatically used in the next battle, basically. And this part, right, I think this ends the speed cleave in my opinion. Adjusted the starting HP in PvP. So increase the starting HP for both sides in Point War, holo battle, casual matches, and other PvP gameplays. The increased HP, however, will not affect HP-based damage. So if you're using Espers like Lilith, you're not going to be dealing more damage, which effectively nullifies his use entirely. So I do feel like moving forward, especially the changes to Sally, especially the changes to Everett, who these few Espers, they're going to be super meta, especially in like tanky setups. Most speed cleaves will no longer work, I feel. So just be prepared that the speed cleave that you're running right now, you might never ever use it again in PvP. So I mean, you guys asked for this, right? Moving forward, we will see a lot more tanky comps being used, and it's gonna kind of affect the point war a lot. I feel like the entire point war is just gonna be extremely tiring, but we will see, right? We will see. So earlier I said that Chuan's speed advantage might not matter so much, right? He reduces the speed of the enemies and increases the speed of your team. It might not matter as much, and this is the reason for that, because now speed cleaving is no longer going to be that meta anymore. Running a typical Ashley is not going to matter that much as well, but that's not to say that he can still be useful, especially when your objective is to use him against enemy heights, although honestly this change is going to make heights extremely broken right now. So everything here I've talked about, except there is one thing that I want to discuss a little bit which I can't right now, so the Starimon adjustment. So I'm actually asking the developers a little bit more about their opinion about this and what exactly is going to happen. I'll get into detail about this process in probably another video. So basically this is the part where I'm not sure, which is Starimon's current EXP will be converted into Experiment. Now the doubt that I have here is the word current EXP. So if you're talking about current EXP, let me just pull up Pritzker for example, right? My legendary level 57 Pritzker. So his current EXP is 33,840. So let's just say that Pritzker was a Starimon. Am I going to get back 33,000 EXP or am I going to get back 57 levels worth of EXP? Because 33,000 EXP is just basically like 1.5 of these elite experiments, right? Which is like worth nothing. So I'm just trying to confirm that, and when I get the answer, I'll let you guys know again. Now, as for resonance adjustments, I've actually not discussed about this, but I've posted this on my community page. So essentially what this means is for this part over here, redundant copies from Esper Fusion pertaining to Fabrice and Gabrielle. So same as the 2 rules listed above, blah, blah, blah. So essentially right now, you can farm more copies of Gabrielle. I think, okay, I assume this is true. They can change their mind at any time, okay, and don't blame me for it. But what I understand from whatever that they're saying here, which is very different to how Odette and Everett is being handled, what I understand is that if you have extra copies of Gabrielle and Fabrice, for example, they will then be converted into Dial Prisms, which you can use to exchange for, I don't know, maybe the Shimmer Records or whatever that you can buy with that currency. So this is still possible for you to farm Dial Prisms right now. And the thing is, one of you guys also asked me the question, what if I have 2 Gabrielles who are resonated? What will happen? And the answer is actually given over here. The redundant copies and their resonance will be transformed into a corresponding number of Esper material. So if you resonate an extra Gabrielle, like let's say 5 extra times, well, you will get back 6 more Gabrielle Esper material, but that would then be converted directly into Dial Prisms. So they have you covered, don't worry about it. Yeah, and this part talks about it. So after the update, when getting 6 or more repeated Esper material, not Espers, right? So it's just an Esper material, those will be automatically converted, basically dissolved into your Dial Prisms or Mono Prisms. Alright, so we talked a little bit about the relic changes yesterday, and some of you guys also said that it makes sense because level 60 is just basically a 6-star relic, level 50 is just basically a 5-star relic, level 30 is basically your 4-star relic, so on and so forth. Yes, I understand that, but my question is why? What's the point of all these? What's the point of these levels? So someone also brought up the reason for that, and it's possibly that you can level up your relics next time. Not enhancement levels, but level them up. Which I think is okay. I think it kind of makes sense if you're thinking long term. But then if that's the case, why introduce this now? I mean, I'm just nitpicking right now. So I was hoping that they would talk a little bit more about the Tyranny of Zeus and how the chance of it is reduced. But unfortunately, they didn't give us any information right now, which sucks. Now, this is something that I like a lot. So adjusted inventory, right? So basically all the Espers that you have would disappear, right? So all the extra Espers, they will no longer be cluttered in your inventory. So for example, over here, once I cross the border of like where my final Esper is at, which I think is somewhere around here, every other Esper behind would be completely gone. So you will not have all these clutter up anymore. So it's going to be a lot easier for you to manage your Espers, which I think is a really nice touch. I really hate just like scrolling through all of this, which is part of the problem of why practice stages was such a pain to grind in the past. Now, as for the Esper balance adjustments, I don't think anything actually really changed. I don't think anything changed at all, except that there is one thing that I kind of forgot to mention, which is Clara. So Ability 1, Queen's Blessing, change a multi-stage attack into a single attack, so she no longer double hits, which means that she's going to be quite useful for APEP at least. And apart from that, I am going to test out Anesidora. I am not fully sold on the fact that she is completely worthless right now. Yes, she is no longer going to be able to stun, but I do feel like maybe her damage output will still be the same. And on top of that, she will have a slow debuff, which in most cases you do have Celine, you do have Ira, but the problem with that is they are both flow types, but Anesidora is a shimmer type, so she can land her slow debuffs on anyone basically. So I might be coping a bit too much, but I still feel like she might have some potential out there. But all in all, I think the most important part is this over here. So for players who have upgraded the target Esper, we will send them Esper Rewind items which reset the target Esper to default status, and the materials consumed will be reimbursed. This compensation is sent via email. So, oh my goodness, they are only going to give us rewind items for these Espers over here. You're not going to get rewind items for all the other Espers. But I guess it kind of works out in the end because you would still gain back some essential skill ups, I guess. So for me personally, I don't feel like I have a lot of use for Gabrielle right now. I might actually take it away and just dump it into Sienna, who knows. I have no idea, man. So it's kind of sad that it didn't actually give us a lot of rewind items for all the Espers who are going to get resonance changes. So if you need more detailed information on the resonance changes or on the skill changes, I will put the links to my other videos down in the descriptions below so it's a little bit easier for you to access. And of course there are also some other captain ability changes which I also discussed in those videos, as well as the Esper stats adjustments. And this, right, so the thing is we do have some EXP boosters, and these EXP boosters are worth something. So after the update, we will remove the booster items while we work on a new boost mechanism, and the boosters that are already applied and in effect will not be affected, excluding the effects from Black Gold monthly card. The boosters in inventory will be converted in Nexus Crystals using the below conversion rate, so that's basically, you're gonna get back on Nexus Crystals. For some reason, the same goes for Elemental Wave boosters as well, even though we still have the Sonic Rituals, what? But please take note that that's the end of your Relic booster, so I would highly recommend you to use it instead of converting it to our Nexus Crystals. It is definitely worth like 1,000 or maybe 2,000 Nexus Crystals. But of course it depends on how fast you can clear the runs basically. Now, shop item adjustments. In the gold shop, levels of random relics have been adjusted. I don't know what that means. Starimon's refresh probability has been increased. That kind of sucks I guess, unless you make it cheaper. Experiment's price has been increased, which is like, no, dude, this was already so expensive, dude. This is not a good thing. And in the cube shop, removed limited relics, which is like, yeah, okay, those suck anyway. Available for purchase, elemental records, Xie ripples, and rare Starimon. This is the white twin, by the way. And in the tournament shop, okay, removed limited relics, gold records, and Nexus crystals. So this is like, a lot of people are very upset about this, right? And the reason why I feel like they are removing gold records is they are kind of making it easier for you to PT Espers and get the Espers that you want, or at least the Esper material that you want. So I guess this is kind of a balance, and they are probably going to give us more gold records via events anyway. Although I do feel like they should explain a little bit more rather than just saying like, oh, we are going to remove this and let the fire burn. But available for purchase, elemental records and donor ripples. Fine, fine. So this is probably how they're going to compensate, right? Removal of gold records in place of elemental records. And now in the club shop, they have removed gold records and the Ripple boxes. Rest in peace. So I'm not sure why they decided to remove the Ripple boxes. I do feel like this was probably the most free-to-play way for us to get more resonance copies. I mean, summoning is not really the right way because it's not something that you can actively work towards. It's really based on how lucky you get with your summons, and it's also on a random basis whether or not you get the resonance that you really want. But Ripple boxes kind of work in a way that allows you to decide what you really want to reso, which I think this was a good addition. Them removing it, I have no idea why that's the case, and they're not actually replacing it with anything worth replacing. For Breeze Ripples, who gives a crap, and Rest Starimon, oh my goodness. Yeah, I'm not too happy about this, to be honest. But I guess the limited purchase attempts for reset stones have been increased, so there is that. Now other adjustments and optimizations, blah blah blah, these are like, oh my god. I guess these are things that we're just gonna get used to. I'm just not gonna read all of it. Okay, but there are some other QOL changes which I kind of like. Okay, so for example, the relic storage capacity will be further increased, which is really nice. And the word resist is changed to immune if the enemy is immune, so that you can clearly understand whether you failed to cast a negative effect based on immunity or not, which I think is nice. Blah blah blah, a lot of other stuff here. But I think what we really want to know is, are they going to finally change the game intro or not? Let's see something else and not, oh my goodness, not Abigail. Alright, so that's it for this video. It has been an extremely long one and I truly apologize for it, and I'm also losing my voice, so that has been 3.1.7 patch details. Oh, we will be receiving 3 Nexus crystals. Thank God for the crystals, man. Anyway, leave your comments down below. I would like to know what you think about the current patch details. What are your thoughts? What are your opinions? How do you think the meta is going to shift? I personally feel like the Cleave meta is going to be completely out of the window. It's not going to be relevant anymore. And I think they did a good job in the way that they phased out Cleave meta by making Espers start off with more HP. But at the same time, that also forced certain Espers into more OP state. Like for example, JJs, your heights, even your tanky healers, your tanky DPS, all of that, right? So we'll see. The meta is definitely going to shift a lot. I can't say for sure how it's going to be. I can't say for sure whether the speed meta is going to be completely decimated, even though I am quite certain that it will, because most players would then run R6 Everett, which is like an insane counter against AoE Cleave comps. But yeah, we will see about that. Anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a thumbs up. It really helps the channel, and subscribe for more Dislyte content. Now with that said, this has been Free to Play, and as always, I will see you in the next video.